Righty-ho, Jono. It's time to shine, may I say, your particularly bright light once again. Talk us through Dunbar's number. Where did you dig up this little gem?
Yeah, good question. I was wondering that myself because I've known about it for a very long time, and I remembered that where I first came upon it was Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, which I read. It came out in 2000, but I must have read it like 2002, 2003, or something like that. And he gave this example of the company that makes Gore-Tex, like Gore and Associates.
DuPont. Yeah, I'm talking politics. I'm going to shut up because it's not DuPont. You just cut me out of that. I was trying to work out where I'd remembered it from, and it's that book, isn't it? Yes.
It is, yeah. So, W.L. Gore and Associates. And so they apparently discovered that they would build company buildings that fit 150 people. And beyond 150 people, they discovered that various social problems would happen. And so rather than make a bigger building than 150, they would, once that was full, they'd just make another building to fit 150. And so obviously that was where I was introduced to it. But reading a bit more about it, I think about it as the typical number of people we can keep track of and consider part of our ongoing social network. And there's actually different scales of them. And what I tried to show in the sketch, I think I actually drew 150 heads.
I didn't stop and count them, but it's a lovely sketch. I love how you've done it.
As I was trying to do this, and I was making fun of it a bit, like in the sense that if you got one person beyond 150, you've no idea who they are.
Yeah,
was the idea. But there's actually different degrees, and so you have like a smaller number of very close friends, around 5, something called your super family. They're different names, or your clan. I think around 15. Sorry, the clan is 50, and then a tribe is 150, and so you have these different sort of groups, but about 150 was about the number of people that we can just generally keep track of. Was the idea.
So yeah, that's interesting because it's Robin Dunbar who I think might have first proposed this officially through some research, and I think research with others, but I think it has been interpreted and poked about quite a bit by other social scientists and anthropologists. So those numbers come up again and again, but the terminology that I'd seen was 5 loved ones, 15 good friends, 50 friends, and 150 meaningful contacts. So yeah, I guess that would fit in with the nomenclature you were using, Jono. I like the tribe at the end. That's quite cool.
Yeah, I think there's a few different ones, and I think Robin Dunbar was an evolutionary psychologist, and I think it came from he was studying all sorts of different groups through history, but also through, for example, primate communities and early humans, so like Neolithic farming communities, and so this number 150 comes up quite a lot, including in like the basic size of a unit of the Roman army. And also, to this day, it's kind of interesting to think. And I think he actually sort of calculated this. It's come to be 150, but based on the size of, I think it was the neocortex. So different primate groups would have different size brains and then actually live in different size social groups, which I think is really interesting.
It is. It's really, really interesting. So then I've also seen that, and I don't know if this was part of Dunbar's research or others who've added to it, but it kind of goes on from 150 to 500, what I've seen referred to as acquaintances, and then 1,500 people you'd recognise.
Gosh,
roughly for humans is what's been proposed.
I wonder how you test that. It's just quite fascinating, isn't it?
It is. And what's really interesting, what has been picked up on, that these are factors of 5. And kind of multiples of 3, I think, which you picked up on, Johnny, the multiples of 3 in there between the 5, the 15, the 50, give or take, and the 150. I don't know what. I don't think any scientific significance has been associated with that, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what the deviation is on that, though, as it were, because I feel like some people know a lot more people and like having lots of friends, and other people like having more closer friends.
Yes.
So I imagine there's quite a deviation, maybe that's the norm. That's the medium, as it were.
Well, this is the beautiful thing, right? So, as I've understood it, this research was done predominantly, and no, maybe I should say, as I understand it, this research was done initially on non-human primates, as Jono was saying, associating the size of the neocortex, so the size of the part of the brain that deals with thought and language, to the size of their communities that they managed, and it was done quite a bit through observing behaviours like grooming as a significant other being in that society. But then when it's been projected onto human life, we get the kind of things that John was talking about there historically, with Roman armies and like 11th century English villages, all this kind of thing. Kind of it made sense. But there's obviously these are projections. This is just a fun theory more than anything else, I guess, but it could be used effectively in things like business and society, I guess.
I like the way Dunbar mentioned about informally the number of people you wouldn't feel embarrassed about joining uninvited for a drink if you happen to bump into them in a bar.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's good.
So you know them well enough to do that you're
150. Like, whereas if it was one of your 500 acquaintances, you might go, oh,
you'd probably get on the phone, wouldn't you? I think
sorry. I think
it's the phone's ringing.
Do you know another interesting one that I've seen it kind of related to that 150 is the size of your Christmas card list. When we used to write Christmas cards, like my mum still writes Christmas cards, and I reckon her Christmas card list is probably around that. I should probably ask her.
That's a good point. Yeah, my parents, they work for weeks on their Christmas cards. So it's just major operation. But yeah, maybe it's around 150. I don't know.
But Tommy, you pick up on a really good point there, that there are outliers, and there will be huge variance within this, and it will vary with different cultures as well as individuals as well.
That's a really good point, in cultures and I wonder how social media and the ability to communicate has massively affected this.
Yeah, hugely, and so it's very different. So I mean, if you look at the difference between introverts and extroverts, I mean, it's probably not too far a leap to say that most extroverts probably have a larger number of shallower relationships, and introverts probably have a smaller number of deeper relationships. Yes. I think the research also showed that women tend to have slightly more contacts within the closer layers than men.
Yeah.
But again, it depends where you're looking, I guess. So I've seen, and there's so many lovely bits of research that I've seen and read up around this. All music on this podcast series is sourced from the very talented Frank Cinelli. And you can find loads more tracks at frankcinelli.com.